Greetings, boys and pigs, this is the Watchful Longma here, and welcome back to Watchful's Watchings. Well, this is it, people. We're at the final season of MLP. I'm sure a lot of us never thought this day would come, but it's finally here. And as such, even though I said I'd take a break from MLP reviews, I can't pass this up. So, all this season, we're going to be looking at every episode of Season 9. But we're not starting with the premiere. I actually have something very special for that. No, instead, we're going to be starting with Uprooted. Seems only appropriate the second episode deals with the loss of the Tree of Harmony. So let's see how well they honored this monument as we take a look at Uprooted. Our episode begins with Silver Stream flying with Rainbow Dash actually, but as cool as it is, it becomes pretty apparent that this is all just a dream, and it's apparently one that all the students are sharing. I will say I love how slow and subtly the episode actually transitions from a normal place into a dreamlike scape. Although I will say this, what is up with Gallus' dream? Like, what was actually going on down that hallway? I want to see that. Also, nice callback to Smolder in the dress. But we soon find out it was actually the Tree of Harmony that summoned them. Which is kinda confusing since it got destroyed. Even Twilight points this out when the Student 6 confront her. And sure enough, there wasn't some miracle off screen, the Tree of Harmony is still destroyed, as are the elements. I will say I am glad we're getting an episode about the Tree of Harmony right after it gets destroyed. Not only does the episode right itself after what happened, but I feel it's also kind of necessary with this being the final season and all. We kinda need an episode about losing something, well, with us losing MLP after all. And the Student 6 agreed that they need to preserve the memory of the tree. And so we get a rather humorous montage of them trying to get permission slips signed from all their parents. My favorite being Silver Streams just for the meme material. This is just too perfect and I'm glad people are using it to its full potential. But anyway, the rest of the Student 6 arrive, and it turns out Sandbar pretty much got rid of the entire tree. Yeah, that may not have been the best choice, because now it's apparently obvious that no one has any idea what to actually do with the tree now. Okay, scratch that, they know what to do, but aren't coming to a consensus. And yeah, I suppose this means you can kinda see where things are going right off the bat. They're going to all do their own thing, they're all gonna bicker and argue, and then things are gonna collapse on themselves and they're gonna learn their lesson. Yeah, it's a standard episode structure which can make it a little predictable. But I've always held true to the belief that just because something's predictable doesn't automatically make it bad. It can inherently make an episode bad, but that's only if the episode doesn't do something to make up for it. And thankfully, I can safely say that this episode does do enough to make up for it. Not only is the execution incredibly well, which we will get to later, but it's also very entertaining. I laughed and thoroughly enjoyed all of the students trying to do this. Not to mention they all make sense with their character. I mean, why wouldn't the Griffin try to capitalize on this? Although admittedly, Gallus is probably the weakest out of all of them in my opinion. Not only does it feel very sacrilegious and a little bit too low even for a Griffin, it was also a little bit on the cringy side. I mean, I get it, he wants to promote and peddle his goods, but dear god, by the end of it when he mentioned the puppet show, I just wanted to tune him out. As a side note, is this what people who try to peddle their Patreon look like? I just need to know if I'm being attacked or not. I'm gonna say not and move on. Anyway, finally, Yona realizes that she can't stand anymore and tells them all the friggin' point. That it's not about the tree itself or even what you make of it, it's about what it represented, about what you take from it, about the lessons that it taught you. I can't help but feel like this is an entire metaphor for the show ending. I mean, think about it, they all freak out about something getting destroyed or ending, and they all try to interpret it in different ways. The artist, the one who just wants to start over new, the contemplator, and the capitalist. There are two things I want to mention about it though. One is an observation and one is kind of a nitpick. The first is that I felt like the moral should have been more a blending of true ideals versus how you want to do it. Because when you really think about it, none of them were technically in the wrong for wanting to celebrate the tree that way. And it'd be the same way for the show, there's no wrong way to celebrate its ending. No, not even Gallus' solution, because when you think about it, the Bernie community has always been a great jumping off point for people to start their careers online. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to capitalize on that, especially if you want to make it your full-time job. But even though they all had their own ways of celebrating the tree, they were kind of all missing the point, or rather the spirit of it. That in the end it should be about the ideals and the friendships it brought. Essentially, they were doing the right things but had the wrong reasoning behind them. And I felt like they should have made that a hybrid to make it more complete. Because much like I feel there was no wrong way anyone was celebrating the tree, I don't think there's really any wrong way to celebrate the end of the show, so long as you keep the true spirit of it alive. And I think it would have been nice if they taught that by showing one final spin as everyone added their own little uniqueness to the clubhouse. And yes, I know the line of the clubhouse being a mishmash of a little bit of everything, and look, that's good and that's fine, but I feel like there could have been just a little bit more. But that's just me. I do still feel like it does a well enough job, I just feel like it could have been a little better. Although I will say, as far as an observation, does anyone find it super odd that this episode came out no less than a couple days before the Notre Dame incident? I mean, I've heard of art imitating reality, but this came out beforehand, so it basically predicted the future in a sense. Like losing a valuable piece of history and everyone figuring out how to celebrate it. And as long as you keep the spirit of it alive, then that's all that matters. That was just an observation, and honestly I feel the episode came out at a perfect time considering the circumstances. And I'm happy to see that not only did nobody get hurt, but that all the artifacts were saved. But anyway, moving on with the episode. Everyone decides to build a clubhouse to honor the tree, and then we actually get our first song of the season. That's right, there was no song last episode, which means now we gotta get it. And for the first song of the season, this isn't half bad actually. It actually sounds very nice. And it has some very funny background gags like Yona trying to hammer in a nail. Best creature by the way. The only thing I felt really could have been better in this whole thing would be the lyrics. Not that the lyrics are bad or terrible, they just could have used maybe one more rewrite for some of these. But in any case, I still think it's a decent start for this season. But anyway, they finally finished the treehouse, but it looks like the trio harmony isn't satisfied, so it's giving it an upgrade. And can I just say, I love this design so friggin' much. It looks so pretty and it just feels so right. What the heck was this design when they built the castle? This is honestly way better than the castle. But no matter what it looks like to the students, it's a place for them to come together. For whenever they need solace or to just be together. And I gotta say, that's a nice ending to a very nice episode. After the premiere, you kinda need a much calmer episode after that. And this video is honestly much calmer while at the same time still entertaining and not boring. It's nice to see the Student 6 get their time to shine, and it is kind of an episode we kinda needed after the Tree of Harmony got destroyed. So overall, a nice and solid episode, which is why I'm gonna give this episode a 4.5 out of 6. A couple things could have truly made this a great episode, but otherwise it's still a really good episode. And I'm afraid I'm gonna have to take a break from LP reviews for just one more week this time, guys. Because it's time for the Patreon sponsored review of the month next time. And my lovely Patreonists have voted on what many consider to be the next heavy metal. A return of gore and nudity to the 100th degree. And on Netflix of all places. That's right, we're taking a look at Love, Death, and Robot. But till then guys, I'm the Watchful Pony, and this is Why I Brony. I'll see you guys next time.